Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis. Today, Depression, Part 3. From the Mother. Question: is it the same thing, the same work, to be conscious that the nature must be changed and to master the different parts of the being? Mother: one precedes the other. First of all, one must be conscious, then control. And by continuing the mastery, one changes one's character. Changing the character is what comes last. One must control bad habits, the old habits, for a very long time, for them to drop off and the character to change. We may take the example of someone who has frequent depressions. When things are not exactly as he would like them to be, he becomes depressed. So, to begin with, he must become aware of his depression. Not only of the depression, but of the causes of depression, why he gets depressed so easily. Then, once he has become conscious, he must master the depressions, must stop being depressed even when the cause of depression is there. He must master his depression, stop it from coming, and finally, after this work has been done for a sufficiently long time, the nature loses the habit of having depressions and no longer reacts in the same way. The nature is changed. Question: sometimes when you have depression it lasts long, but when you have a joy that is not ordinary, it does not last. Mother: yes, it is true. Question: then what should one do in order to make it last? Mother: but it is not the same part of the being that has the depression and the joy. You are confusing delight with pleasure. Pleasure, which belongs to the vital. It is a very fugitive thing, and in life as it is now, there are more occasions for displeasure than for pleasure. Pleasure is simply an agreeable sensation, and it is an extremely fugitive thing. You cannot hold it long, because if the same vibration of pleasure continues a little long, not only it gets blunted, but becomes unpleasant or even repugnant. Yet it is exactly the same vibration. Then, quite naturally, it comes and goes. But if you speak of delight, it is altogether different. It is a kind of warmth, an illumination in the heart. You can have delight in the head also, a blissful illumination. That is a virtue that has not yet reached the state of full development. Yet delight is there, constantly in the truth of the being, in the reality of the being, in your true self, in your soul, in your psychic being. Delight is present constantly. That has nothing to do with pleasure. It is a kind of inner felicity. But you are rarely in a condition to feel it, unless you have become fully conscious of your psychic being. That is why, when it comes, it is fugitive. for the necessary psychological condition is not fulfilled. On the other hand, you are almost constantly in your ordinary vital state, where the least unpleasant thing creates very spontaneously depression. Depression if you are weak, or revolt if you are strong. Any desire not satisfied, any impulse that knocks against an obstacle, any unpleasant contact with outside creates very easily and very spontaneously a depression or a revolt, because it is the normal state of things, normal in present life. Not to be depressed is extremely important. Depression is a sign of weakness, of a bad will somewhere, and bad will in the sense of a refusal to receive help, and a kind of weakness that's content to be weak. One becomes slack. The bad will is obvious, because there's a part of your being which tells you at that moment depression is bad. You know that you shouldn't get depressed. Well, the reply of that part which is depressed is almost, "Shut up, I want my depression." Try. You will see. You can try. It is always like that. It is not true. And then later one says again, afterwards, I shall see for the moment I want it, and besides, I have my reasons. There you are. It's a kind of revolt, a weak revolt. The revolt of something weak in the being. Here he speaks of the change of which this depression is a stage. Mother. Yes, when one comes out of the depression and one's bad will, well, then one realizes that there was an attack, and that some progress had to be made, and that in spite of everything, something within has made progress, that one has taken a step forward. Usually, hardly consciously, it is something which needs to progress, but doesn't want to, and so takes this way, like a child who sulks, becomes low-spirited, sad, unhappy, misunderstood, abandoned, helpless, and then refusing to collaborate, and, as I just said, indulging in his depression to show that he is not happy. It is specially in order to show that one is not satisfied that one becomes depressed. One can show it to nature. One can show it, that depends on the case, you see. One can show it to the divine. One can show it to the people around one. But it is always a kind of way of expressing one's dissatisfaction. I am not happy about what you demand, but this means I am not happy, and I shall make you too see it, that I am not happy. There you are. But when it is over, and when for some reason or other one has made the necessary effort to come out of it, and has come out, one usually realizes that something in the being has changed, because, in spite of all bad will, most often the progress was accomplished. Not very swiftly, not very brilliantly, not for one's greater glory, surely, but still the progress was made. Something has changed. That's all. My dear little child, you must not accept depression. Never. And still less these suggestions, so stupid and false, that I could ask you to go away. How can you dream of such a thing? You are at home here, are you not, my little daughter? And you will always have a place by my side, in my love and protection. 9 December 1932. Question. How then can I continue my practice of writing to you in this state of depression and discontent? But I don't blame you for this. It is me. I don't have a strong will. So how can I get rid of it? Mother, you do not need to have a strong will. You have only to use mine. Be careful, child. Do not open the door to depression, discouragement, and revolt. This leads far, far away from consciousness and makes you sink into the depths of obscurity where happiness can no longer enter. Your great strength was your smile, because you knew how to smile at life. You also knew how to work with courage and steadiness, and in this you were exceptional. But you have followed the example of other people. You have learned from them to be discontented, rebellious, depressed, and now you have let your smile slip away, and with it your faith and confidence in me. In this condition, if all the divine forces were to concentrate on you, it would be in vain. You would refuse to receive them. There is only one remedy, and you must lose no time in accepting it. Recover your smile, regain your faith, become once more the confident child you were. Do not brood over your faults and difficulties. It is your smile that will chase them away. Question. Dear Mother, what is all this about psychological and physical diseases? I understand nothing of it. Mother, psychological diseases are diseases of the thoughts and feelings, such as depression, revolt, sadness, etc. Physical diseases are those of the body. 6th January 1933. No, all is not sad and gloomy, neither the trees, nor the sky, nor the sea. Everything is full of the divine presence, and is only too glad to speak of it to you. Shake off this childish depression and contemplate the sun that is rising in your heart. 28 April 1934. Will and energy can be cultivated just as the muscles are by exercise. You must exercise your will to be patient and your energy to reject depression. I am always near you to help you with all my love. You need not worry and must continue as you are doing, except perhaps that you must not allow your superficial and somewhat too light exterior being to interfere and spoil your endeavor, as it does during marching, for instance. The most important thing is a steady, quiet endurance that does not allow any upsetting or depression to interfere with your progress. The sincerity of the aspiration is the assurance of the victory. With my love and blessings.